What happened against DJ Lagway in his performance against the South Florida Bulls this past Saturday?
You are Locked On Gators, your daily podcast on the Florida Gators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Gators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. Every day we are available daily and free, wherever the podcast and on YouTube. Happy Tuesday. I am Brandon Olsen. Find me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work with New York Giants on SI. And today we're about to be joined by Brooks Austin from the Film Guy Network, who put out a very, very good breakdown about DJ Lagway against USF. We're going to talk about that, talk about the breakdown, and I'm going to include the breakdown in the description below here on Locked On Gators. Joining me now for Locked On Gators is Brooks Austin, the film guy. Great film reviews on YouTube, and he recently had one come out about DJ Lagway against South Florida. And Brooks, we're gonna dive right into this because that's how I like to approach things that I know are gonna ruin my day or night. And that was, in my opinion, the worst performance that DJ Lagway's had as a Florida Gator so far. And for those who haven't watched your review, which we will link in the description below, what were your general takeaways from DJ Lagway's performance?
Yeah, I think it reeked is the wrong word. It reeked of a player that hadn't practiced a lot, because this is a player that hasn't practiced a lot. He is really, really talented, and he's a great thrower of the football, and he's gonna play this game a really, really long time if he starts to make really good decisions and see the field correctly. But we still need to practice. We still need to be able to build a rapport with our wide receivers, with our weapons. The first real time they ask him to throw the football, they've got a touchdown running down the sideline. He airmails the tight end by maybe tight end number 8, whoever it was, big fella. He airmails the guy by 5, 6, 7 yards. This is a guy that was dialed in on those deep shot accuracy, real explosive play metrics last year. I felt like as a true freshman, he was so dialed in the deep field accuracy department. I thought it was almost as if he walked down there and handed the football to some of these guys, and it just saw disconnect in those areas of his game. And there's no reason, there's no secret as to why. He has not practiced. He has not played the game of football Monday through Friday enough to just expect everything to be okay. And that's the other thing I noticed about him. Some of the really fun stuff we do with our arm, it's really fun stuff when we don't play mechanically sound, when we're accurate. When we're not accurate with the football, when we fade out of pockets and just kind of flick one up to the tight end that's running bare naked in the end zone. Sometimes when we haven't played a lot of football, we miss a lot of that stuff, and it looks bad. And we look like we're just trying to be cool, and we will be cool again one day when we're fully healthy and we're fully comfortable and we've been playing in practice and we're comfortable back at shooting our shot. But that was not a football player that was comfortable shooting his shot on Saturday, and it was errant. It was all over the place, and I know the stats didn't say that. It said 22 of 31 or whatever it said, but I saw a football player that just looked like he hadn't practiced a lot of football. I mean, Brandon, the first 15 to 12-yard comeback that he throws it in the dirt. He spikes it. This is what I think to be one of the most talented throwers of the football that this game has in college football right now. And he did not look like that Saturday because, he hasn't played a lot of football.
Yeah, I think Florida Gators fans, and I'm not going to pretend that I didn't lean into the hype a little bit as well, but I think a lot of us saw an immensely physically talented quarterback. And I know he's still very raw and needs a ton of work, mentally needs to improve, mechanically needs to improve. He's one of the most physically talented quarterbacks in the country. I don't think many people will dispute that, especially if you're talking pure arm talent. If you want to add in the mobility of Lenoris Sellers and stuff like that, then sure, we could have different conversations. But if you're talking about just pure arm talent, I don't think there are many just throwers of the football than DJ Lagway. But when you have the mental, there was one play in your breakdown where you mentioned they can tell that the USF nickel, I think it was, is going to come
my Lord.
blitzing.
Golly.
Hayden Hansen, who is going to be on this show tomorrow morning. Hayden Hansen wide open up the seam. And he doesn't take it. And there's stuff like that where I know last year.
It's even weirder, Brandon, because like we got helmet comms now, right?
Yep.
Like we have the ability for the coordinator to be, okay, we're on the ball. We go check, we go hard count, and we see that nickel pressure. And I know the OC's in his head going, hey, we're called whatever their term for it is, right? We're calling 4-go, right? We're calling 4 verts or whatever it is. And I need you to take a peek at the tight end because they're showing nickel pressure. I can get all of that in 5 seconds. And I can almost guarantee whoever it is calling those plays, which is Billy still the one on the microphone getting the last call? Whoever it is, I guarantee, I would hope that guy said something to the young quarterback, because that's the whole reason we're calling the check. The whole reason we're calling the check is because everybody in the stadium saw the nickel pressure, and it's not like they bluffed it. They ultimately brought it. So your process should be, I'm there, I'm looking at it, confirming it. Oh, they did it. Bam. I'm going to smack the tight end in the face right now. Like that's like rudimentary stuff, I think. I don't know how they coach the kid, though. So it's really easy to sit up here and be like critical. Maybe they tell him to take the snap and put his eyes in the middle of the field. I don't know what they're teaching the kid, but the play looked like it was called to attack what they were seeing. That's the whole purpose we do check with me's.
Yeah, that was just like Hayden Hansen running wide open. There were a few plays specifically involving Hayden, which I know you don't know this, but Hayden's on the show every Wednesday during the season. And so we love it when he gets the ball, and then when he's running wide open there. They had I think he ran a fade. I might have been mistaken, but he ran a fade into the end zone, and they don't
hoping to get DPI. Yeah, I think if that ball's more competitive, they'll probably draw a DPI.
Yeah, but instead he wanted to, I think you mentioned it in the breakdown, to throw the fade away from back there for no reason, because it looks cool, and that's stuff that I do think we see a lot because of the Patrick Mahomes.
It's stuff he's gonna get away with again. I promise you, he's going to he's gonna be fine. These things it's just a matter of, man, like we haven't done these things recently, so we need to be a little bit boring and fundamental right now. And then we can get back to doing the fun stuff, because I do believe these quarterbacks who are playmakers in nature, we don't ever want to coach it out of them too much, but we just need to know when we're supposed to and when we're not supposed to.
Yeah, my thing with DJ Lagway is I feel like he's never been good at the not fun stuff. I think in the breakdown you said chicken and rice. Like he's never been good at that kind of stuff, where I was destroyed last season for saying that even while they were going on that hot stretch at the end of the year, they weren't playing sustainable offensive football, because they really weren't. It was the run game was working, or DJ Lagway was production-wise the best deep passing player in all of college football. He was super explosive. The offense was really explosive, but they were either having a successful run game that would eventually stall or score there. They were either throwing the deep shot, but they had no underneath passing game. They had nothing. And John Summerall at Tulane, like I know that there's Florida Gators fans that go, oh, it's Tulane. Well, let's also just say that I don't think Florida Gators fans can say that anymore, because we just watched our team lose to South Florida. But John Summerall, he gave everybody kind of the blueprint that you saw teams attack Caleb Williams with when he was at USC. You saw teams attack Cam Ward with, where it's just like, yeah, we're going to drop 8 and we're going to make you take what's underneath. And if you don't take what's underneath, then you're going to make some horrible mistakes. And DJ Lagway made those horrible mistakes, because while he's looking top down and there's someone open underneath, he's not finding it at all there. And then he's scrambling and getting himself sacked and making mistakes like that. And I feel like that's the thing with DJ Lagway, where you just need the reps. And I know, like, it sucks because we're watching him play really bad football right now. I don't think he played great against Long Island. I know you mentioned the South Florida game. He was like 22 for 31 or whatever the numbers were. But it was ugly football when you could have completed way more passes, way more yards, more touchdowns, blowout win. And instead you quarterbacked your way. And I'm not putting this all on DJ Lagway, but you quarterbacked your way to failure, and you quarterbacked your way to losing against USF because you wanted to do the the cool deep shot stuff where you're throwing off your back foot, leaning back, fading away, and doing all these, like, you're looking like Dirk Nowitzki out there, and it's just not working. And I think that's the thing with DJ Lagway needing reps, is you need to learn how to do the basics before you can be a truly great quarterback. It's time to fuel up and turn it up with 5-Hour Energy Transfusion. This grape, ginger, and lime flavored shot brings the iconic taste of a golf course favorite to a non-alcoholic boost. Perfect for sinking birdies or making great memories with friends. It's a hole-in-one for your energy game, whether you're out on the course or just need a little extra push to power through your day. 5-Hour Energy Transfusion delivers the clubhouse flavor you love without ever leaving the green. Golf is all about good times with good friends and good flavors. The grape ginger lime flavor of 5-Hour Energy Transfusion gives you the best parts of your clubhouse go-to without leaving the horse or chasing down the bev cart. So now you can amp up the fun even more. Just buy, snap, and enter for a chance to win a dream golf trip for 2 to any golf tournament in the USA. Tee up that trip. Visit 5-Hour Energy, 5HEWin.com for full rules and entry. No purchase necessary. Excludes the Masters Tournament. Offer ends October 31st, 2025. And football season is here. The NFL season is here. And FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. So if you're ready to play, if you're ready to make money, if you're ready to bet on Justin Fields rushing touchdown, for some reason Daniel Jones 2 touchdowns because he's good now apparently all of a sudden, or maybe he just needs to play the Dolphins, whatever that may be. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. It's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet with FanDuel.
Look, I do study a ton of other offenses, and I will say this about what they're asking him to do. And I don't mean to make this a criticism about the coaching staff because they're getting plenty of smoke right now from their fan base. More of a defense of the player. There are no layups for this guy. There are no like, hey, here's a nice little pitch and catch for you. Most of it's like 20 yards downfield. Like if he gets 30 dropbacks, they're all, like 18 to 25 of them are off of play action. And the primary read in the concept and in the read is like 25 yards downfield. And then if we don't hit the vertical shot or if we don't hit the skinny post, like we're going to make you throw this deep runner on this deep over. And we're going to make you have to throw it and anticipate it and like throw it in front of this guy. Whereas most of these offenses in college nowadays, I mean, there's a very famous stat about Bo Nix at Oregon, right? Bo Nix was this 58% completion percentage guy, goes to Oregon, and he breaks the completion percentage record. Well, half of his passes throughout the year were at near or behind the line of scrimmage. This offseason, when I went and studied DJ against Tulane, he had 2 of 29 dropbacks, 29 traditional dropbacks that I studied in that game, 2 of which were throws at near or behind the line of scrimmage. Like, you get no easy work for this kid. So, yeah, he's struggling. He hasn't practiced. He hasn't built rapport with his players. I don't think he's 100% healthy. And we're asking him to drive the ball down the field almost every time. That's hard. That's really, really hard to do. So, like, I don't feel bad for the kid, but I look at him and I know people are going to criticize him. And I look at him and I say, well, damn, he's got a hard test. All these other kids, they get 30-question tests with no essays. He's got a 50-question test with all essay questions at the end. Like, it's really, really hard for this guy to pass the test for me.
Yeah, I also find it just so weird because 2 years ago, Florida's offense still being called by Billy Napier, which on Monday morning, he went into his press conference. Someone asked him about if he's still the play caller. He said yes. And someone asked him, are you considering giving that up? And he kind of got a little bit of an attitude and was like, no, not at all. We're doing this. And look, you watch the film, and I think anybody that has watched the film can see there's open guys around. You just got to hit them. But 2 years ago, the big criticism around Florida's offense was everything's underneath. And then now 2 years later, we're talking about just bizarro world offense where 2 years ago, everything passing was underneath and your run game wasn't as consistent as it could have been. And then now you got Jaden Ball just destroying people, and DJ Lagway, every pass is a deep ball.
Yeah, I just have And Billy's going to die on the hill, and that's fine. And I respect the fact that he is adamant about this, about him remaining the play caller. My problem with Billy about being the play caller has never been about y'all's offensive play calling or whether or not it's bad or whether or not it's good or whether or not y'all score points or what. My problem with Florida football the last 3 or 4 years that I've been watching it, is that I feel like y'all lose games everywhere else that the coach should be paying attention, but instead he's over there on the iPad or he's over there with his Waffle House card designing his next play drive and worried about what the defense is doing to him. Meanwhile, y'all got 10 guys on the field goal unit. Meanwhile, y'all absolutely wetting down your leg time management wise. Meanwhile, y'all losing games in special teams. Meanwhile, you see what I'm saying? Like, that's always been my problem. Like, he stands up there and he goes, well, our offense is good. Yeah, coach, but like, coach, we're losing games everywhere. We're losing games everywhere, not just your offense. So maybe let's get somebody to help us out there, which, by the way, I don't think the offensive play calling was all that great this week. I mean, I think of like multiple examples where I'm like, what are we doing? Like, for example, I think there's a 1st and 25 after a hold. Y'all hop in the Wildcat. Like, what are we doing? It's 1st and 25, guys. We got to get a chunk play to actually get into a manageable second down. Nope. We're going to let everybody in the world know that we're running the ball. I think there's the moment you get the ball into the green zone, right, into any type of aggressive territory, y'all are running the absolute hell up out the rock with Jaden Ball. Y'all want to throw a double reverse pass. Y'all dust out the play call that is there for when the game's 17-3 and it's 8 minutes left in the second quarter and you're going for the jugular. No, the game was 3-3 at the time. Like, all of these things, I could get into that, but coach, like, we're spitting on players losing games. Like, we're absolutely mismanaging clocks at the end of it. Like, there's so many different things where I look at it where I'm like, well, if the coach wasn't over there with the Waffle House card, he might catch all this other stuff. Because I don't think Billy's a bad coach. I think Billy's overwhelmed, and he has been for 3 years. But the problem is he ain't doing nothing to fix the overwhelmness.
Yeah, I will say this. I feel incredibly vindicated because I have no problems with the offensive scheme. I have problems with Billy calling plays in certain situations, like the Wildcat, like the double reverse pass, which, by the way, not the second time they've done a stupid double reverse pass.
Or the trick play on 4th and 1 against Georgia last year. I mean, good Lord, man. Yep. Running the rock, line up and go.
Yep. There are a lot of times where I say, like, I don't think that it's necessarily Billy's offense that's the issue. I do think that part of him being head coach is that during the week, I don't think he's spending enough time with everybody, and that leads to some execution problems. But on game day, you have, now they have the special team mat so that they could stop having 10 guys on special teams.
By the way, that's so rudimentary. Like, we've had the black dotted mat on like middle school fields for 25 years.
But it helped Florida. It helped Florida. like that's.
I know, but it's one of those things when. It's one of those things where I heard that story and I was like, man, we're not buttoned up. Man, like, we're 2.5 years in. I think that story came out midway through the year last year. We're 2.5 years in and we're just now getting, hey, pun alert, we need to get all 11 hats near the sticks. What? It's an SEC unit, baby. We are overwhelmed. It was one of those signs where I was like, oh man, we're overwhelmed. We're just overwhelmed.
Yeah, I mean, I think that part of the reason getting it fixed, by the way, I don't even think was Billy getting it fixed. I think it was the hire of Joe Houston, which, if you can coach special teams for Bill Belichick, you can coach special teams for my team, and I'm going to be totally fine with it always. But I think part of it was the hire of Joe Houston. I think that a lot of it just came down to, and again, like, I feel a little bit vindicated here because that's been my big complaint, is not that the offensive system is bad. You look at so many successful offenses, and the system itself, and when it's come down, is very similar. Like they're very successful offenses that are very similar, but he's overwhelmed and doesn't. But I do want to slightly push back on one thing you said, or at least pose a question where you said, I don't think he's a bad coach. If you're as overwhelmed as you are, and you have been for a few years, but you don't correct it.
Yeah.
Doesn't that
that makes you hard-headed? That makes you hard-headed, in my opinion. It's just you're hard hit. I think
And
he's
that's
hard
not,
hit.
is that a trait of a bad coach in that sense, or?
Probably. Here's my thing. Again, not to go back to it, but like nobody calls their own plays. Steve Sarkisian doesn't call his own plays anymore. Like I'm pretty sure Kyle Flood calls them. Like Dan Lanning's not out here calling defensive plays. Nick Saban was not calling defensive plays. Kirby Smart is not on the headset calling defensive plays. Dabo Swinney doesn't call them. Like why it's arrogance. It's the lack of self-awareness. It's whatever adjective or adverb, whatever word you want to use to describe that. You ain't him. Like nobody is that good. So why
Ryan
are
Day
you?
stopped doing it and won a national championship right away.
Ryan Day had so much time on his hands last year that not only did he win a national title, he micromanaged a defensive coordinator out of town. Jim Knowles was like, man, he was all over me. I'm going to Penn State. What? And a shocker, won a national title. Yes. And guess what? They were losing playoff games 45-42. It wasn't like he needed any help offensive coordinator wise. No, he needed help everywhere else. So he got it. And that's the other thing about Florida that was really weird to me. Like the staff photo, it goes viral every year. How big that staff was, how massive that staff was. Well, guess what? Y'all can't go a day without, so-and-so's got a hand taped up at practice. So-and-so's got such and such taped up at practice. I'm sure y'all got great beat reporters. Everyone does. I'm sure the beat down there is excellent. But y'all sure do have a leaky department. It seems like information I feel like I know more about Florida's football program than any other football program in America. Why? Because they got 700 staffers, so they got 700 opportunities for people to open their mouth. That's not good. That's not always good. It needs to be tight-knit. It needs to be on position coaches. Recruiting needs to be on position coaches. It don't need to be on the 17th graduate assistant that is helping out with the defensive line recruiting staffer that's calling a 4-star. That doesn't need to be happening. It needs to be the D-line coach. And I'm sure they started to fix some of that stuff, but early on, I felt like it hurt.
Yeah, I think while you were just speaking, 4 more starters are now in boots with their hands wrapped.
And look, Dave, that's everywhere. That is everywhere. But the difference is at Georgia, like the place that I cover at Georgia, there is far more likely that a student sees another student athlete with the boot on and breaks the news. The difference at some of these places, it seems like somebody in the building saw it happen at practice and then let somebody know. And the process of information and the how quickly that hits the timeline is just so fast at Florida, faster than any other program in this conference. Most of these conference programs are ran like the KGB, brother. Like they're ran like Russian propaganda. Like we keep everything in house, tight-lipped, nothing going.
Yeah, I think that to me it just feels like, because again, like I am in the camp that I don't think Billy's an awful play caller. I think he does shoot himself in the foot at times for seemingly no reason. I do feel like, and I have no backing behind this, but against Long Island, the starting offense got off to a slow start in week 1. And people were complaining about how vanilla it looked. And so I do feel like Billy was kind of like, oh, you want to see vanilla? Let me throw these wild things at you. And just decided to empty the clip on those 2 plays back to back. But I do think that this constantly comes down to a conversation of there's no coach that can call plays and just be good at everything else. And I think that it comes down to Billy consistently shooting himself in the foot. And look, even if he's not actively doing something, he's shooting himself in the foot by just giving himself so much. And, he spent this offseason going, well, I'm delegating a lot of things, and so it should be a lot easier. I don't think that the starting offense looked good against Long Island. I get it. You won 55-0, but your backups were more efficient than your starters were. You lost to USF in a game where you didn't execute. It was one of the sloppiest games you've ever seen. 11 penalties for 103 yards, including 30 yards given up defensive penalties with a DPI and spitting on a player on the game-losing drive.
Critical penalties too.
Yeah,
like, I felt like every offensive penalty was on an explosive play. Like it just that. And by the way, I don't know what good teams do to avoid that. But the really, really good teams, the really well-coached teams, they don't get holding penalties on 65-yard touchdowns. They don't get deep offensive pass interferences because we ran improper depth of routes. Like, they just don't do those things because they're well coached. Honestly, it's not luck. It has to be because they're disciplined. It has to be you get holds because your feet die. Well, good players and good teams don't let their feet die. Like, they're echo of the whistle teams. They play with lots of effort. Like, they do all the good stuff because they're coached to do the good stuff. Like, it sounds football could be so simple. Football could be so simple sometimes, and we don't have to make it like uber complicated. The spitting thing, man, like, I said on our show, I thought it was the throwing of the shoe that ultimately was the demise of the Dan Mullen regime. It'll be that when you think of what ended Billy Napier, it'll be the USF loss, and it'll be that spitting. It'll be that.
College football is back, and I couldn't be more excited. I know there was a rough game for the Florida Gators, but I'm not gonna stop yet. All right, I'm not gonna give up on them yet. We're gonna give them more chances. The tailgates, the rivalries, the energy in the stands. There's just nothing like it. But let's be real. Actually getting tickets can feel like more of a battle than the game itself sometimes, with endless queues, hidden fees, prices jumping at checkout for seemingly no reason. That's why I always use Game Time, whether I'm going to a football game, a baseball game, a concert, a comedy show, whatever I'm going to Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees, so what you see is what you pay. Take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. And also, I feel like that's one of those things where the end of Dan Mullen's time with Florida was I think it was 14 penalties against Kentucky on the road. You had, I think it was 6 false starts because you didn't go to a silent count until like late in the fourth quarter. And it was things like that where it's just things where it seems like whether you're trying your hardest or not, it seems like I don't know if it's cutting corners or how you describe it, but the fundamentals aren't there right now. And, you mentioned the end of the Billy Napier regime. You also mentioned DJ Lagway would be one of the hottest free agents, if not the hottest free agent in college football. If Billy Napier were to get fired, which at this point seems more like a when than an if DJ Lagway were to enter the transfer portal following that, which I would imagine even if you're willing to come back to Florida, you'd kick the tires. Because it'd be a bad decision business-wise to not kick the tires there and go with Lincoln Riley, Dabo Swinney were both guys that were recruiting you heavily coming out of high school. They were in your final consideration there. Wouldn't shock me if you went, hey, maybe I'll take a look at those guys if they're looking for a 1-year player here, 1-year starter at quarterback. But I can't help but imagine what that would look like if Billy is fired. Because I think that last year, a lot of the people also kept talking about, well, you can't fire Billy because then you lose DJ Lagway. And now we're seeing DJ Lagway isn't playing up to par. I'm not saying he's never going to be that, but he's not playing up to par right now.
I think DJ will be what really scares me. I want to say I think he's going to be fine. Like I want to say he's going to be great and everything will be fine and everything will be good. But like the interception this weekend, which I know Florida fans, it was probably a drop based off further footage, all that good stuff. But like that ball is never to be thrown. That ball is never, ever, ever to be thrown. The offensive coordinator is calling the play because we're trying to hit Eugene Wilson on a sail route, and we think they're in a certain coverage, and they weren't. They cover the sail, and the post that's – by the way, we're rolling the quarterback right, and he chooses to throw a 60-yard post that's working back against his body. Like, I know you're a superhuman, buddy, but that's not even in the progression. It's not even in the read. It's not even like we're running 1 and then 2 and then 3. We never even bubble him ever. So the decision to throw that ball, very, very questionable. The other thing that I'm really concerned about is the fact that every time I watch him, it seems to me like every, I'd say 20 to 25 dropbacks, he is very clearly going to put the ball at risk because he didn't see somebody. There's an underneath defender that he lost account for and started staring at somebody. So now this guy's floated and we smack that guy in the face. Or we're scrambling out of the pocket, doing a little too much, and we think we're God's gift to football with the arm, and we try to put it into a tight window, and we smack Tulane defender right in the face. And not only do we do that, we do it in the red zone. So we just gave up in the end zone. Like we did it in areas where forever, like since birth, when we started playing quarterback, everyone tells us, hey, we got to protect the football when we're down here, baby. We got points. And we're just out here willy-nilly with the rock. That concerns me. And then also in the same football game, this is 3 starts ago, by the way, we're in our own end and we do the same thing. We turn the ball over inside of our own 20, which is also can't do that at the position type of deal. The amount of times I've seen over 14 starts, and I know he's young, which is why I still have hope and still have promise for him. The amount of times where I guarantee you he comes off the field and his coach looks at him and says, hey, son, what the hell? And DJ probably looks at him and goes, Coach, I don't know. I didn't see that guy. We can't have I didn't see that guy types of interceptions. Those are terrifying. The types of interceptions we're allowed to have is what Garrett Nussmeier has, where it's, hey, buddy, you just thought you were way too gifted. We can't be trying to fit that ball into that window. Not, why didn't you see that guy? Why didn't I see that guy's only answer is, Coach, I didn't see the field correctly. That scares me. But all that being said, we're in a day and era in an era of college football where you might just have to take your lumps because next year's schedule, you would imagine, is going to be a lot more accessible to winning football games. And you don't want to create free agency on DJ Lagway. I wouldn't. I would want that guy for another year. So I would just take my lumps and just say, well, damn, I hope we get it right. I think we're in an era where you have to hope in college football because I know what the alternative is. The alternative is everybody pillaging your roster. Hell, I guarantee you DJ Lagway's agent representative team or whatever, they're swatting phone calls already. They're probably already getting blown up right now. I don't want to open that frenzy in hopes that I get a good big name football coach, in hopes that Jed Fish leaves Washington. Is that like, I don't know what the rumor mill is. I don't know who y'all are hopeful for. I'm sure it's the regular Jimmys and Joes. I'm sure you think Lane Kiffin's leaving Ole Miss. I'm sure you think a coach is leaving somewhere else, but like, who is the alternative?
That's I think that's the thing. We spoke about this a lot last year. Just because, you know, everybody thought Billy was going to get fired last year. And so the conversation started about, well, who would you hire? And everybody was swinging for the fences with big names, of course. But it all came down to guys going, hey, well, I want a proven winner at the Power 4 level that is an offensive-minded guy so that the offense keeps intact. He's got to be a great recruiter in the state of Florida. And by the way, we've got to be able to afford him. And the answer is that there's nobody that fits that. There's no coach that really fits that. Like honestly, even Lane doesn't have all those. Until
you got to the he recruits well in Florida, you and this is what's so bad about not the situation, but this is what's so bad about this. You just described PJ Fleck. But when I say PJ Fleck, you're going to get disgusted. You're going to throw up. You're going to think that's not good enough. That's not a big enough name. We're the University of Florida. I'm with you, but I don't know. I don't know. Bro, Lane Kiffin talks about the Ole Miss job as if it has saved his life. And as someone who has found sobriety, not to be that way, but it has saved my life. And I ain't trying to do nothing to mess with my life. And I don't know if he's in the position where he wants to be messing with his life. He seems very, very happy out there in Oxford, Mississippi. So what are the options? And I hate to do that because I think Florida is a top 8 job in college football. I just think that 7 or 9 of the top 10 coaches are in jobs that they like and are very, very cushy.
Yeah, I think that it's tough because, you know, you mentioned, you know, you named PJ Fleck. If you remove, I don't know, if you remove the Power 4 option, you're talking about a guy who can get players from Florida and is successful. You talk about Jason Candle. You're going to lose your mind if you hire a guy from Toledo to be the head coach at Florida. Like, personally, I'd love it. I went there, so I would love it. But you're talking about things like that where it doesn't make sense. There's nobody that I think fits everything, but Florida probably going to be in that conversation. Brooks, before I let you go, I'm curious because I'm in the same camp as you. I think that DJ Lagway is incredibly physically gifted, incredibly physically talented. He's a physical alien. Needs reps. The big thing with the injuries for him hasn't been that he's been injured. It's not just like the injuries themselves aren't what's worrying me. It's that you aren't getting the reps and you're a young guy who your biggest thing that you need is reps. How long do you give a quarterback before you go, you just might not be the guy? Because my big thing with Anthony Richardson when he declared for the draft was, well, good thing that he came out now because he was awful. And if you came back for another year and still stunk, then you'd tank your stock. But DJ Lagway, he's not going to get that, there's 1 year of film, he'll get better, because he's going to have at least a year and a half of starting.
Yeah, I mean, from a Florida standpoint, you play that guy, you ride him until the wheels fall off and just hope it gets better. And I'm sure it will. But the good thing about DJ is that I don't see a like an immediate, I'm trying to leave the pocket type of deal that a lot of these quarterbacks who are unfixable have. Like, he'll stand in there and he'll compete and he'll at least go through progressions. I think it's a matter of reps. It's all for me. Like, I'm still really, really hopeful. I am. And I'm not just like being an upside guy. Like, I think that eventually he'll start to see the things correctly and he'll start to be more disciplined with his lower half, and he'll start to understand how when we need to play fun and when we need to play disciplined, right? He'll learn that line eventually. All the really, really talented ones do. It just takes a long, long time for most of them. My biggest concern right now is, like, we were hurt all year last year with whatever weird injury. Like, was it an appendix? Was it an internal thing? What was it? Like, was it an oblique? Like, what the hell? So, like, we couldn't practice last year, but we were good enough to play, but we couldn't take reps during practice. I think that's what Billy said. And then in the spring, we got a shoulder thing, so that we couldn't play. And y'all know the deal. Florida fans listening to this know the deal. This kid can't practice. So if he can't practice, he can't get better. And I'm more hopeful that, like, next year it's going to be really, really good. I hope, but we got to stay healthy. We got to survive. Like, he's still taking big hits too. That's the other thing about this guy. Like, he's such a competitor that we don't have the wherewithal just yet to not be looking like we might be broken glass out here every once in a while.
Yeah, I don't think he realizes you're the quarterback and we need you there. And he's just like, yeah, I could just do it. He also, and I'll let you go, but he throws himself into bad situations. Like, he got sacked twice against Long Island, and both times were him running into it. Like things like that.
I wonder, like when y'all ran, last thing I'll talk about, on our film study, we watched you run mesh Z spot. Okay, it is a baseline play. Matter of fact, anyone who's ever listened to this podcast right now that has ever played video games, you've ran mesh. All right.
Yeah,
and we got two guys crossing, and we got another guy running right over the spot of the ball, squaring up on 3rd and 7. It is a very traditional third down call. And every coach I've ever talked to coaches it the same way. Against man coverage, we read the mesh concept first, and we try to get the ball to our fastest receiver. If we get zone, we are waiting for that mesh to clear out to draw those hook defenders, and we're trying to throw that spot, and it's going to be right there. I promise you, you just got to trust it. And he's all over the place in the pocket, and he's waiting for that runner to open up, and it's zone coverage, and it's just like, man, like mesh Z spot is day one install in spread offenses, which I know he comes from. I know DJ played that in high school. I know he's ran mesh a million times. We just couldn't apply it right there on a critical third down late, and we throw a ball high and away from Eugene Wilson, and here comes a hook defender, and he gets blown up, and now it's 4th and 2. And it's day one install, basic quarterback stuff. And yeah, immensely talented, but it's day one install.
Yeah, this might be a long year for Florida Gators fans. But we're gonna have a good time.
You were gonna fight and scratch and claw your way to 8-4. The schedule was way too hard. I love everybody that has optimism about DJ, because I had optimism about DJ. I had a film study this summer calling him the most talented thrower of the football in all of college football. But the schedule said you were going to have to play your, pardon my language, ass off to get to 8-4. So anybody telling you anything like this might have been a year for a playoff, whoa, too much, in my opinion. So I think maybe you got set up. Maybe expectations are a real thing in life. Like, I am a big time manage expectations person. I am not going to oversell and underdeliver. Okay, those are bad things to be doing to fan bases, to spouses, to loved ones. Don't be overselling and underdelivering. Don't be tweeting spot the ball when you might get it ran down your throat.
Yeah, we're going to end on that one because damn. This was Brooks Austin with the Film Guys Network. Thank you so much, Brooks. And I appreciate you taking the time here to talk DJ Lagway in what was one of the least enjoyable games of my life, watching Florida Gators.
It's going to be okay. Hey, by the way, Billy, if you're listening, just give it to Jaden Ball 28 times. It's going to be okay. Good God Almighty. It opened up the first possession, six carries with Jaden Ball, walking it on him. And then you give them 12 totes the rest of the damn game. I'm kerfuffled. I'm bamboozled. It makes no sense.
Thanks again for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. Every day we are available daily and free reviews in the podcast and on YouTube. Thanks once again to Brooks Austin for joining us. I am Brandon Olsen. Find me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work with New York Giants on SI and swampsignal.substack.com. And we will be back tomorrow with Hayden Hansen, Florida Gators starting tight end, with Locked On Gators. And I will see you all next time.